This is the PlayStation Classic. It's a pretty fun console, but is it worth buying? Let's find out. Here we go, back at it again with yet another video. G'day guys, I'm ChampChong. If you guys end up enjoying today's video, you know what to do. You smack that like button real good. But anyway, today's video is all about this little guy right here. This is the PlayStation Classic. It is tiny. I can't, just, if you've never touched one of these, that sounds strange, but if you've never held a PlayStation Classic, it is truly small. It was mind-blowing as to how small and tiny this thing is, and that sounds like my dating life. Ooh. But anyway, this is the PlayStation Classic, as I said, and I'm going to put this down for a second and just talk about this thing. So the first thing was, I got this box right here, and right now it's empty. But when I got it, I was like, oh, pretty small box, right? And, wow, these puns could be just... I won't get into that. But I got the box, and I was like, wow, this console is going to be small. And then I opened it, and it was even smaller than I expected. Oh man, this is terrible. See, this is why I held off on this video, because I am trying so hard not to make "that's what she said" jokes. But anyway, I've had this console for a few days now, and I held off because I really wanted to give it a go. I really wanted to play all the games that it really did have, and I didn't play them all, obviously. There's so many games on here. And it was just more of a bite-sized fun thing to do over the last few days, and I've got to say, it has been a really, really enjoyable system to have in my living room, to play it through HDMI, to not have to lug out the old console, just to have that classic controller, no DualShock controller. It's been one of those nostalgia trips, and I think it's worth it. I really do. For 150 bucks, Australian dollars, I don't know how much it goes for in the US or any other place. It's probably about 100 US dollars, I think. I think it's a good price overall, because it's more of a collector's item. I'm gonna have this box. I've kept it in the best condition I can, and I'm gonna keep this just hanging around, maybe in my living room. And it's just one of those things where it's a collector's item. You've got shelves behind you, behind me, I guess I should say. And you can see I've got collector's items. I've got Assassin stuff. I've got GTA stuff over there. I've got a championship belt. I've got Assassin's thing over there. Things like that, those can go for a fair bit, especially the Pip-Boy edition of Fallout. And that thing's all plastic. It doesn't really do anything. It still requires your phone, and that costs you a fair bit. But when you got this thing, this is a legit console, and it's a collector's item, and it's cool to have, especially if you had the original when you were a kid. And I think that's why it's worth getting one of these things. And one thing I will point out is that, yeah, it's got 20 games. That's all it's got, 20 games. But is 20 games worth it? I think it is, and there's been reports that there are a few hidden games in there, but we don't know why they aren't released or anything like that. But I've got to say, you've got quite a good selection of games here. Like Tekken 3, that's hell fun to just play. 1v1, just go crazy with that. And then you've got Ridge Racer on there, you've got Twisted Metal on there, it's crazy. So you've got even Abe's Odyssey on there, Oddworld. You've got so many amazing games, and then you really take the next step, and you've got Final Fantasy VII on there. You've got the original Grand Theft Auto game, which was fun as to play, by the way. And then I'm looking on this list, Rayman's on here, Siphon Filter, you got Resident Evil, you've got so many games on here, Metal Gear Solid, how could I forget that? You've even got Persona on here, Revelations Persona, and I think for that price, it's a really, really good system, and it's just one of those nostalgia boxes, and I think that's what this is really. It's a nostalgia piece, it's a collector's item. It's not really a brand new console. You're not paying $300 or $400 for it. And I think that's why it's worth picking up one of these things. But if you don't have the spare money to just go spend for it, if you want to get a brand new game, if you want to spend maybe $200 on a few new games this Christmas, you should probably go for that rather than going for something like this, because this is, as I said, just a nostalgia trip. It is a collector's item, so if you are a huge PlayStation fan, if you had one of these when you were a kid, it's definitely worth picking it up. But if you didn't, you might want to pass on it. Now, as for the hardware itself, it's pretty solid for this tiny little thing. Oh, that sounds... I'm making a terrible joke again. However, one thing I will state is I don't know why they didn't make the actual CD bit open up. I don't know why the discs bit doesn't open. That's kind of disappointing. Maybe it's a cost-saving method, I'm not sure. Also, it does use USB power to power. It's not the regular plug that you do have on all PlayStation consoles from the PS1, PS2, PS3, and PS4. They've always used a standard cable. This one, however, doesn't use that, so it is interesting that they did go away from that, but you can just plug it into your console or your TV or whatever, and you'll still get power to the console, so it's still alright. But overall, pretty good system, pretty solid. It does go and fit right nicely into this little like DVD slot that I've got over there, and you don't really notice it. The cables, however, I'm gonna get a controller real quick. Okay, so the cables, they're kind of short. They're about 1.2 meters, I think, maybe 1.5. They do state that they are 1.5. So what you can do, I did this as a kid though, you kind of put the PlayStation on the floor, you run the cable to the TV, and then you can sit on the couch by extending this by another 1.5 or so meters. So you can still sit on your couch, you still will be comfortable, but I do miss wireless controllers. Then again, this is the PlayStation Classic, and you've got to go and grab your PlayStation, grab this, and plug it in like that. Oh, and another thing is it does have fake memory card slots in here. You can't buy miniature memory cards like you did back in the day. What was it? It was like a megabyte. It wasn't even a megabyte. I don't even remember how small it was on the PlayStation original console, but it was a tiny memory space. But if you were like me, I didn't get a memory card right away. I had to wait so long to get a memory card because my parents didn't understand what a memory card was, and I left my PlayStation on for days. I know some people left theirs on for weeks just so they wouldn't lose their save files in their games and just keep playing them. And then eventually I got a memory card, and then I just became a total nerd, total gamer, and never looked back. So the PlayStation was my first console that wasn't a secondhand, like pre-owned console. So I always have a soft spot for it. And to be able to actually go back and play it with an actual like replica controller with the replica console, but miniaturized, it's a really cool experience. I don't know what else to say besides, if you've got 150 bucks Australian to spare on this, go for it. Have some fun. It's worth it. It's cool to just maybe even just put on your shelf if you do get bored of it after a while. And it's just a cool collector's item. Especially, I think the box is my favorite thing, which is weird. I'm paying 150 bucks for a box. I was lucky enough to not have to pay that. PlayStation weren't nice enough to send it out here, but I did talk to PlayStation. I was like, look, I'm not going to hold back. I'm going to give my honest opinion, and well, my honest opinion is that it's worth getting. I think it is. If you've got the money, go for it. But if not, obviously save your money. Don't waste your money on console. You know, like it's logic. Be a smart human being. But anyway, guys, that does it for this video on the PlayStation Classic. Is it worth buying? You know what to do now. You all smack that like button real good. Let me know if you got yourself a PlayStation Classic, or if you've been thinking about a PlayStation Classic and grabbing one, whatever. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.